Da-da-dee-da-da. Welcome to the show, everybody. Let's see if we could do a full show today. That'll be fun, internet gods. Thank you, please. Okay, anyway, welcome in once again. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show. We got an Eagles-Buccaneers preview to get into today, and why I don't fear the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this time around, and why I have the Eagles winning. Spoiler, said it yesterday. Now, the other thing, Zach Baun, the bevy of injuries that popped up this week. Baun said he got his foot, his cleat caught in the turf during the game there against the Rams. But is feeling good, feels strong, won't commit to whether or not he's going to play on Sunday. But all that really matters right now is that he was a limited participant yesterday, as was Jihad Campbell, as was Adoree Jackson, Tanner McKee, and then full participants yesterday. How about this? Will Shipley. Welcome back to the party, pal. And Lane Johnson, above all else. Most importantly, Lane Johnson looking locked in despite the stinger suffered against the Rams. That right there should put you in enough good vibe scenario to make you go, okay, all right, I'm not going to fear the Buccaneers this time around. Plus, a little fun little thing here. I went back and I watched the Bucs game from last year. Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't fun. But the Eagles went down to that game 24-0. And then all of a sudden, much like the Rams game, they started to fight their way back in. But unfortunately, defense couldn't hold up. Offense turned the football over. There was a sack fumble there from Levante David, if you remember that play, on Jalen Hurts. And that was really the last of the run of fumbles, run of turnovers from Jalen Hurts, where he had, I want to say it was like 24 in 24 games. It was something absolutely ridiculous. But that was the end of the turnover run for Jalen Hurts. That was the end. That game also marked the end of the Avonte Maddox in the slot as your nickel corner. And it also, how about this, marked the end of an awful run of missed tackles. Maddox had a missed tackle. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a missed tackle. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson also allowed the first touchdown of the game to Mike Evans, claiming he pushed off. A couple of things jumped out to me. The press coverage, the non-existence really of press coverage on the outside. Few and far between there were instances of that, actual press coverage on the outside. But then they just started sitting back and letting Baker Mayfield pick them apart, unfortunately. And then the other thing that really jumps out to me about this game was the idea that the Eagles' leading wide receiver in that game was Paris Campbell. So the Eagles just had that wild, very low-scoring game against the New Orleans Saints. And then they went into Tampa, where they've had their struggles. And they got the doors blown off them by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in that game, the first game in New Orleans there, they didn't have A.J. Brown, yet they found a way to win. This game, no Devontae Smith, no A.J. Brown. Dallas Goedert was your leading overall receiver. Then you really had to rely on Paris Campbell and Jahan Dotson in this game, that game last year. This year, you're going to have your full roster, including, how about this, Will Shipley, and most importantly, again, Lane Johnson. This is going to be, I still think, a battle. I don't think there's going to be any point where we feel like this is going to be a comfortable one there for the Eagles, but the Buccaneers not having Mike Evans obviously matters. I just don't think it matters to the point of, in the red zone, certainly you're not going to be, oh, here comes the throw to Mike Evans short of the goal line or slant at the goal line. And here comes the touchdown. No, they're going to have Sterling Shepard, who we all know too well from his time with the Giants, also was there with the Buccaneers last year. I think he was actually just elevated off the practice squad last year for that game. And now he's coming up against the Eagles again this time around. They have Ibuka, the rookie wideout, who made a circus catch against the Jets. They have Baker Mayfield slinging it, who, by the way, Zach Baun was asked about the comparison between Baker Mayfield and Matthew Stafford. And he went back to, a reporter asked him about it. He goes, it's funny you say that because we were just talking about that in the meeting room, how we're facing two very similar quarterbacks that are, he would put in the category, Zach Baun would put in the category of gunslingers. You want to be careful of those gunslingers, those Brett Favre type players. Well, that's what he feels like he's gone up against last week. He went up against last week in Matthew Stafford and is going up against that again this week in Baker Mayfield. I love Baker Mayfield. I admire his attitude and I admire his skill. I admire the fact that there was a coach on the Jets coaching staff last week that cut him when he was in Carolina. And he said, yeah, that guy cut me when I was in Carolina, so this feels pretty good. I love that. I love a little fun-filled bitterness, all right? And Baker Mayfield certainly got that. I love his game overall. He can make those throws. He can make all the throws. He is accurate. He's very efficient. He can scramble when he needs to scramble. Right now, he is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' second leading rusher on the squad. So I really like his game. But Sunday is going to be a not today type of situation. And we'll get into that a little bit more when we come back. We'll get to that more not when we come back. Get to that a little bit more later in the show. Give you the injury report. Also go over one thing that seems to be plaguing the Buccaneers so far through 3 games this season. The Philadelphia Phillies were back at it last night. There was another hour rain delay, so anybody coming back from the unfortunate West Coast trip, trying to stay up and watching all that, you thought you might have a little bit more of a break this time around? Nope. 6:45 start time 2 nights ago. That gets pushed back an hour. And then an hour and minute rain delay last night after the 6:05 start. So that got pushed back. But the Phillies last night were 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Oh, by the way, they won 1-0. But the runners in scoring position has been a bit of a concern for the Phillies over their last handful of games. I mean, really, we don't need that. They could be the hottest team in baseball, hitting-wise. They could be hitting, 400 as a team with runners in scoring position, and it would still concern the hell out of us going into the postseason. Because why? Well, because we have trust issues as Phillies fans. But yeah, they have they're roughed up, to say the least, offense when it comes to, 8 home runs in a game, 11 runs in a game, 5 different players hitting home runs, 2 of those players multi-home run games, homer games. That's pretty good. But it'll just vanish. It'll just go away. As Ryan Howard used to say, when it goes away, where does it go? You're hot as anything, and all of a sudden, nope, ice cold. 0 for your next 20. Where did it go? I don't know where it goes with the Phillies. But last night, it went. You didn't even get a hit. Again, 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. You had 7 hits in the ball game, 8 hits maybe in the ball game. And none of them with a runner in scoring position. And the only run you were able to get across the plate was Harrison Bader led off the game for the Phillies in the bottom of the first inning with a single. He later came around to score from third on a high bouncer up the third base line off the bat of Alec Baun. Baun was thrown out at first. Bader scores. And that was it. Then the combination of the law firm of Walker and Walker, they combined for 7 scoreless innings. Matt Strahm came in. All right, let's get hot at the right time here, Matt Strahm. I know it's the Marlins, but little victories are big victories right now. And David Robertson. So the Phillies are up 1-0. Bottom of the 8th inning, they're trying to get something going. The rains really open. It was a really weird thing that took place last night for the Phillies. I think it was after the top of the 8th inning. They stop the game briefly. They cover the mound with the tarp. They cover home plate with the tarp. The 2 circular tarps, not the big tarp that covers the whole infield. Then, after about 15, 20 seconds, they're like, all right, let's take those tarps off. Let's get back to playing. And everyone's looking around like, really, that's it? That's all we're going to stop for? That's the world's shortest rain delay. So they take the tarps off. They resume play. I think they get a batter into the bottom of the 8th inning, and they're like, yep, no, this is ridiculous. 0-2 count to Brandon Marsh. Let's stop things. They stop things for an hour and 1 minute. So 61 minutes. You're welcome. And then they come back. No more offense. Johan Duran had already started warming up in the bullpen. So they go, we're not gonna restart that machine. Forget about it. So David Robertson comes in. And he closes it out. He allows 1 hit, and then the last batter he faced, was it Conine? Who the hell was that? Last batter he faced hits a long drive, gets on top. Paulie. Conine, he got out for the first out of the inning. Paulie steps up there, gets a fastball out over the middle of the plate, tattoos it to center field, and I went, oh, no. And it was right at Harrison Bader. And he ran it down, and that was that. That was the ball game. Phillies win the series. Their 9th straight home series win. They've only lost 1 series at home after the All-Star break, and that was the first series. I want to say it was against the Angels to start out the second half, the unofficial second half of the season. So Phillies now welcome the Minnesota Twins to town for a 3-game series. I got into this conversation yesterday with Harry Mays, actually on Locked On Eagles. We can talk to Phils for a second. How the hell do the Phillies end their season against the Minnesota Twins? How the hell does that make any sense? And knee-jerk reaction, yeah, absolutely. How does that make any sense? How are you not playing the Braves and the Mets? How are you not playing the division team? And then I thought about it, and I'm like, well, you got to give them credit because they got it right. Like the Phillies, they have the division in hand. They've locked up a first-round bye. I mean, the only better thing would be if the Brewers, were in South Philly to end the season. But obviously, that's not the case. When the Brewers are here, unfortunately, yeah, things hit the fan. So a lot of interesting stuff there with the Phillies as they welcome the Minnesota Twins. And I suggested, remember when the Phillies were really terrible and we had the Mike Trout night in South Philly? Remember that when the Angels came to town? Everyone's like, it's Millville night at Citizens Bank Park. I was like, this is the most loser energy thing ever. No one on our team's worth watching. So, hey, yay, guy from South Jersey. Millville, okay? Yay, Mike Trout. I got nothing against Mike Trout. I got nothing against anybody from South Jersey. I got something against the team that I like was like throwing a welcome parade because the team that I like's terrible. So like, hey, other people are good in other uniforms. Let's celebrate them because what we have is what we're celebrating. Loser energy. Should we do that, though, for the Twins, for Harrison Bader and Joan Duran? Especially because now it's back-to-back nights where I've watched the Phillies rain delay television where they showed Phillies clubhouse there, and the Ashley Sullivan lady is talking about how the Twins just gave over all their information to the Phillies on Joan Duran's entrance, all the technical stuff. That is nice. Credit to the game day presentation crew of the Minnesota Twins, because not everybody would do that. Credit them for that. All right. As I mentioned, Phillies start up with the Twins. Eagles, they want to know what's going on with Zach Baun. Hear from Zach Baun himself. Here he is yesterday in his locker talking about his team.
Yeah, I'm good. I feel really good. We tried out the brace yesterday just for precautionary measures if something were to happen or just to have in the future as well. Just get fitted for a brace and see how I like it. Felt good today.
Feel good about Sunday?
I feel good. I felt good today. We'll see about Sunday, yeah.
Okay. Feel strong. Please feel strong and healthy. That'd be good. Eagles already have a wee bit of a linebacker problem. Nakobe Dean obviously out. Talking about edge rushers, that's not looking good right now. Jahad Campbell is another linebacker there inside with Zach Baun. He's banged up as well. I mentioned that he was limited yesterday at practice. That doesn't make you feel good. He's dealing with a triceps injury. Nolan Smith is already out. He's on IR, triceps injury. This is not ideal to go into a game like this with a quarterback that I know a lot of people don't like throwing this at Baker Mayfield, but I think that's dumb. That can pick you apart. That ain't great. Adoree Jackson being limited yesterday with his groin injury. Anything less than, how we might say like Landon Dickerson, 80% of Landon Dickerson is better than 100% of a lot of other people. Adoree Jackson needs to be at like 110%. Like, forget about him even being 100% healthy. He needs to feel extra great to go out there and be productive. Jacorian Bennett, obviously not an option for this one either. IR as well. See you later. This is a concern for your defense. A big concern for your defense. Mike Evans, great. He's a Hall of Fame talent. Him not being here helps the Eagles certainly, but some other guys are going to look really good in this game based on what they're going up against. So there's a couple of things. Number one, yesterday, through the graces briefly of the internet gods, I was able to break down a couple of things for you. One was when I go back to last year's loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the first things that jumps to mind is hardly any press coverage from Vic Fangio. Hardly any. And Baker Mayfield absolutely picked you apart. And the other thing was, it wasn't like he was incredible throwing the ball downfield. He was just being able to get rid of the football, swing passes, slant routes, really short yardage stuff that they were able to rack up some good yak on. So what bothered me throughout the game was rarely did you see Darius Slay or Quenyon Mitchell or Avonte Maddox at the line of scrimmage in press coverage. A lot of times, Baker Mayfield's picking you apart with about 1.7 seconds from snap to release. And you're not getting up on the line? And after the game, Vic Fangio was asked about it during his midweek press conference. And the question was, why wouldn't you just get up on the line? You see Baker Mayfield just picking you apart like that. Why not give the rare blitz the chance to get home? Why not give Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis or Brandon Graham or Nolan Smith? Why not give or Josh Sweat? Why not give these guys an opportunity to try to get into the backfield and take Baker Mayfield down for a sack? Why? What are we doing? And he's like, well, I usually leave that up to the players to decide whether or not they need to be in press or not. It's like, really? What about when it's not working? What about a blanket adjustment for your squad? No? Not going to do that? Interesting. So that was troublesome. They have to find a way, even without Nolan Smith. You're probably going to have Uche Ojulari active for this one probably today. Darius Smith needs to be well on top of his game, and Jalix Hunt needs to be a stud. Like, it's funny. After that bye week, we talked a lot about Cooper DeJean. Obviously, Saquon Barkley running the football a lot after that. And Saquon had a huge run in that game last year against Buccaneers as well. But we've talked about all this. But going into that game or coming out of that game, one of the biggest differences was that Nolan Smith elevated his game after the bye week. He was phenomenal after the bye week. And then Brandon Graham goes down. He takes another step up for this football team. Can Jalix Hunt be that guy? Because they're going to need him. Can Josh Uche start a nice little run here of getting down and getting the quarterback down? Can Azeez Ojulari make a statement game as to make me inactive for the first 3 games of the season? I'll show you. This is what you're depending on for your pass rush. Now, the saving grace in a lot of this is the idea that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be very reliant on Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. The fact that they got 2 of them guys, that helps. Moro Jomo also playing pretty well. That helps. But Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, the key here. And how much better they can make the guys on the edge, the guys on the outside, with that pressure up the middle. Because you ain't going to double team them both. And if you do that, that's certainly going to leave things open for, one, a tight end not to be able to go out. And 2, leave things open for hopefully Ojulari, Uche, Hunt to be able to get after Baker Mayfield. And not give them 1.7 seconds to get rid of the football. That's the number that sticks out in my head. I couldn't find it to confirm it, but that was the number. It was less than 2 seconds. Significant. So that's the one that gets me a little bit here. Safety positions, Reed Blankenship and Drew Makuba. Keep doing what you're doing. I know a lot of people are like killing Reed Blankenship for getting beat by Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is still one of the best wide receivers in the league. And Reed was there with him. He thought he got pushed off on. That's a little weak. I watched the mic'd up, the Eagles presentation mic'd up with Reed Blankenship mic'd up and Drew and the Cooper DeJean. But you could hear Reed Blankenship walking off the field, be like, "Oh, come on, he pushed off. I was like, wasn't that bad. But I still feel like you have 2 safeties that can certainly play at the NFL level. And Drew Makuba, it wouldn't be a bad time to come up with another turnover in this situation, especially when I don't trust the guy that's going to be in front of you in Adoree Jackson. So those are some things that are going to have to be on high alert here going up against the Buccaneers. Now, I mentioned there's one thing that seems to be really struggle-filled here for the Bucs. Versus the Jets, okay? They were 4 for 13 on 3rd down versus the Jets. That ain't great. Baker Mayfield, though, listen to this, 101.7 passer rating against the Jets last year, 230 or last week, 233 yards, and plenty of touchdown chances for him in that one. And also, he's got three straight games to start this season with a 98 plus passer rating so far this year. The lack of fluidity that we have experienced here in Philadelphia with the passing game hasn't happened in Tampa just yet. They're going to have to rely, as I mentioned earlier, on Sterling Shepard. They're going to have to rely on Emeka Ibuka. They had themselves some pretty solid games last week, and getting on the same page as far as Ibuka and Baker Mayfield, that also has not been an issue. They have been in sync. Bucky Irving did not fare well last week. He had 2.6 yards per carry against the Jets. Hopefully that is stymied even further here with the Eagles. He was playing last year against the Eagles as well. So that's something that we're going to have to hope the Eagles can continue to have some success. Well, step up their game as far as run defense goes. They're not faring well in the run game. Last week, you definitely saw your struggles against Kyron Williams, for instance. So you'd like to see that corrected. And then the other thing is the biggest matchup of them all. And for me, it's not even just Jalen Hurts versus Todd Bowles. It's Kevin Patullo against Todd Bowles. Now, I played this yesterday, but again, with some things not working so well, I wanted to make sure we got this in. Here is Jalen Hurts talking about going up against his foe, Todd Bowles.
He's got a lot of tools and a lot of things in his system and what he does that is very challenging, and that's what makes them such a great team and a great defense. So being knowing all of those things he has available, you just really want to, trust the rules and trust the preparation of everything that you have. But, to just point out this is a really good team, a really good defense, well coached, and it's always a competitive environment going down there.
I don't like the feeling of another coach just kind of having your number. I don't like the feeling of knowing another football coach is going out there with supreme confidence that he knows how to beat you. The Eagles have beaten the Bucs once. That was a primetime game 2 seasons ago, and it was the season of the Great Collapse. That game happened to be one of only 2 games that year that you won by more than 10 points. That was a comfortable win for the Eagles. That was James Bradbury on Mike Evans. That's what that was. But they won that game. Jalen Hurts played well in that game. Jalen Hurts was they were all having the conversation about whether or not he was healthy with the knee and all that. But it was a primetime game that they pulled out, or won comfortably, as I mentioned. Now you have another 1:00 game. Eagles last year had a 1:00 game, got their doors blown off by the Buccaneers. I don't like how much the weather has been talked about going into this one. You're talking about, 91, 92 degrees. I saw one thing that said 88 degrees. I saw another thing that said, it's going to have a feels like temperature of 103. Like, what? I feel that after that game last year, a lot changed with the Eagles. And I don't think Todd Bowles is going to be seeing the same Eagles team that he has prepared for in years past. I certainly don't think he's going to see the same quarterback that he's prepared against in recent history. Jalen Hurts, ever since that game, that Levante David forced fumble, where Jalen Hurts originally sidestepped the blitz or the pressure, I should say, and went to reel back to make a throw. And I remember my criticism at the time was any quarterback has to know that if it's Levante David just brushing by you, he's not far. He's not far behind you. It's not like you just sidestepped him and now all of a sudden he's in, his own end zone, for instance. That's not the case. He's right there. And Jalen winds up, ball gets knocked out of his hand. Ever since that play, Jalen Hurts has been playing at an incredible level. Now, I know a lot of people might jump to the numbers and say, well, the passing yards aren't there. Touchdown passes aren't there. Well, you know what also isn't there? Turnovers. You know what is there? Wins. The Eagles had a philosophical shift after this game, and Jalen Hurts is not excused from this. We all know about the open door policy of Nick Sirianni last year after that game during the bye week. Offensive lineman, Jalen Hurts having these, heart-to-heart moments about the way they should do things offensively speaking. And that's, hey, let's concentrate on giving the ball to Saquon Barkley. But at the same time, I wonder if Nick Sirianni had any conversation. I mean, talk about all the time about how Jalen Hurts wants hard coaching. Well, maybe there was a hard coaching moment there last year. Like, yeah, sure, I'll run the ball more, Jalen, if you don't turn the football over anymore. Because one of the things that we had huge concerns about from that previous season of the collapse going into the new season was turnovers. And Jalen Hurts had 2 turnovers week 1 in Brazil against the Green Bay Packers. He had another interception against the Saints. He had the fumble against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Stop turning the football over, Jalen. You can talk all you want about Cooper DeJean going in the starting lineup as your nickel. You can talk all you want about Saquon Barkley just going off the rails after that in a positive way there in the run game. Well, Nolan Smith, who I mentioned, Jalen Hurts stopped turning the football over after that. And the quarterback that faced Todd Bowles previously did not have that on repeat in his brain. I can't imagine a time now where Jalen Hurts could possibly go more confident into this game against Todd Bowles. That confidence that Jalen Hurts talked about in training camp when he was asked about, hey, did winning the Super Bowl change anything for you? He was like, well, yeah, more confident. More confident. There's no greater confidence builder than I've done it already. Now he's coming off his best passing game of the season. He's coming off receivers that were just constantly open. Antoine Winfield Jr. Is certainly somebody to keep an eye on. No doubt about that there for the Buccaneers. But Jalen Hurts just, after that second half, just looks like they found their groove. And here's the best part about it. I don't think that is going to change much about the Eagles' overall game plan, because I don't think all of a sudden just one half of football is going to make them go, oh, we weren't doing this right. We were running the football. What were we thinking? No, they're still going to run the football. They knew they had A.J. Brown. They knew they had Devontae Smith. As I've said all week long, the Eagles didn't discover anything new. They literally did this in the Super Bowl. Oh, they're taking away the run? Let's throw it. Or in this particular case, they were down 26-7 and started chucking the football there in the second half. They had to do it. But this game against Todd Bowles, your offense is coming off 2 phenomenal quarters throwing the football. Saquon Barkley, I don't think, has gotten any worse. That game there against the Rams might open things up more for Saquon Barkley. Because they might be focused a little bit more on stopping the pass. Now, the concern I have here is, again, you're looking at Todd Bowles versus Jalen Hurts. You're looking at Todd Bowles versus Kevin Patullo. That's okay. Advantage Todd Bowles. But what we've noticed from the Dallas Cowboys, what we've noticed from the Rams and the Chiefs is that they are attacking the line of scrimmage. Blitz after blitz after blitz. And it's a smart game plan, because if you have good gap discipline, then if they run with Saquon Barkley, he's going to run right into the blitz. It's also a good idea because if you're throwing the football, which we know Jalen Hurts can still beat you by throwing the football, then you're going to speed up his clock even more. So it's a win-win for the defense as long as the run doesn't run right past the blitz. Now, when Saquon Barkley was asked about that last week, he was asked, hey, what do you think about 8 men in the box? You see 8 men in the box a lot. Does that make things a little bit easier for you if you get to that second level? He's like, if I get to that second level, like I see 8 men in the box and I know I'm running the football, I'm like, just get past this. You get past this, none of those other 4 guys are going to stop you. As he put it, it's finito. This is going to be a great challenge for Kevin Patullo. I have the sense that it's not going to be I have a sense that you can't have the same type of production that you had against the Chiefs. You have to be better. You can't have the same type of production you had in the first half, obviously, against the Rams. You have to be better. I look at it as almost a benefit that the Eagles have had 3 straight games where they have gotten blitzed at a remarkably high rate. that you had those 3 games to warm up to Todd Bowles. And I don't think anyone's going to do it more than Steve Spagnuolo, but it's a little hard to imagine somebody that won't be more efficient with it than with what Todd Bowles is going to call with his defense. They faced some good defensive linemen already this season. Chris Jones, obviously, being one of them. Jared Verse being another on the edge there. Now you're going to go up against Vita Vea, who can plug up a tush push. Okay. You're going to be going against some good talent there in Levante David, who I've mentioned already in terms of his sack on the Jalen Hurts last year. But these guys can be game wreckers, and Todd Bowles knows how to deploy them. He knows how to use them. This game is, I feel, going to come down to Jalen Hurts winning it for you. I don't see this keep being the game where Saquon Barkley breaks out. I see this being a game that Jalen Hurts has to control. I look at this game, though, as one that's going to be a little bit more higher scoring because I think it's going to need to be. I don't have a lot of confidence in the defense making big stops here, especially even if Zach Baun's playing, he's going to be banged up. Even if Jahad Campbell's playing, he's going to be banged up. Adoree Jackson is still your starting outside corner. That ain't feeling good right now. And if he's not, Keely Ringo. Ugh. So that's where we're at, folks. My confidence isn't huge defensively, but offensively, I think this team can put up 31 points. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will win this game 31-24. Defense is going to have some holes, unfortunately, that Baker Mayfield and that offense are going to exploit. But when it comes to having that one punch land harder, I think that's going to come from Jalen Hurts. And this time around, I'm going to go with Devontae Smith as the guy that comes up with the big catch in this game. Also, Dallas Goedert, keep on eating. Keep on eating. That 33-yard touchdown reception. That was actually zone coverage. I know I made a big point about how the Rams went a lot of man in that second half, especially after the 26-7 advantage. And they did. They went man on the outside a lot with A.J. Brown, but on that touchdown to Dallas Goedert, that was zone. And, boy, did Jalen Hurts find the right spot to put that ball for Dallas Goedert for the touchdown. So I just ultimately think it's going to come down to too many weapons for the Bucs to contain. And also, let's not look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as beating the New York Jets as a huge brag. They beat the Falcons by a field goal. They beat the Texans by a point. And they beat the Jets by 2 points. Now, I know the Eagles, it's all been close this year as well. It's all been close. I know. But I'm not going to look at this right now like the Bucs or anything special, especially without Mike Evans. It does matter. It's not going to be the whole story, but it is going to be a nice portion of it. So that's how I'm feeling after this one. Jordan Davis, it was fun seeing him in the locker room 2 days ago. It was yesterday. Addressed the media just about like his week of fun. That was good. Jordan Mailata, he was asked about creativity on the offensive side of things. Meh. Oh, you know what? In case you didn't hear this yesterday, let me get this to you as well. This has to do with Kevin Patullo. So this week, a lot of people have talked about this. Oh, it's Jalen Hurts calling the plays. I don't think Jalen Hurts calling the plays. I think he's got heavy influence on what's called. I think as he has had over the last couple of years here, control at the line of scrimmage to change things. And really in the Nick Sirianni era, he's had an opportunity to call things at the line of scrimmage, to change the play and all that. So here is Jalen Hurts 2 days ago when it was about the second half and why they started throwing the football and what changed when he watched the
we put ourselves in a position and we approach the game in a different way. And, you have games like that. And I think as a unit, we found a way to get it going. And I give a lot of credit to KP in that. Being able to adjust and see and get us in a direction.
A lot of credit to KP. I stated this yesterday, but I'll say it again. I could feel the collective eye roll from the Delaware Valley, from all of Eagles Nation. I could feel the collective eye roll about lip service. He's trying to build up KP, trying to make Kevin Patullo seem important. Everyone knows he's not. I want it to not really matter who your offensive coordinator is and play caller is. I want it to be Jalen Hurts' offense. I think when you're a runner-up for an MVP, quite frankly, would have been MVP if you didn't get hurt. If you're a two-time NFC champion, if you're a one-time Super Bowl champion, if you're a one-time Super Bowl MVP so far, I kind of want you to have control over what you're doing offensively, like max control. Not necessarily you're calling the plays every play, like it's the 70s or anything, but just you having great impact over the game plan and you having great impact over what actually is being called. Kevin Patullo might notice things too. The guys in the sky might notice things too. Jalen Hurts, as Nick Sirianni talked about this week, is great at seeing what's out there and then being able to come back and relay it and give that information to the coaches so that they might be able to help out in the whole situation as well, because it is a team effort. But I continue to be amazed by Jalen Hurts, and I remember talking about him after his first year as a starter, going from first year as a starter to second year as a starter, about this Hurtsian leap that he had. And if you remember, he was getting the comparisons to Josh Allen, like numbers-wise. They were almost identical, with Jalen Hurts having the advantage in some of them. And I remember like the test you do with people is like quarterback A versus quarterback B, and you look at the numbers, you're like, wow, quarterback A is Josh Allen. Quarterback B is Jalen Hurts. Oh, my goodness. How about that? It's pretty wild. And a lot of people are, he's not Josh Allen. Everyone needs to shut up with that. Well, he might be better. I know Josh Allen is the reigning MVP, but Jalen Hurts, geez, oh my God, he just keeps winning. And that team that Josh Allen can't beat, Jalen Hurts just really likes to beat them. Beat them in Kansas City twice, beat them in the Super Bowl once, lost to them in the Super Bowl once. But yeah, Jalen Hurts is just continuing to be on the rise. And as I said many times in the offseason, the next big step, the two things that I had about the Kevin Patullo era was lean on the passing game a little bit more, not be leading passer in the NFL or number one passing team in the NFL. Don't be that. Just give me middle of the road. Can I get middle of the road? And the other was I wanted Jalen Hurts to take over more control of the offense. That's what I wanted. I wanted to see, just like he did with Jason Kelce leaving and Cam Jurgens taking over, he took on that responsibility. Now the responsibility is going to come more so on his shoulders when it comes to how this offense is run. And I know a lot of people made the big deal about the dagger play in the Super Bowl, and rightfully so, to Devontae Smith. But I love the idea of Jalen Hurts saying, hey, here's 10 plays that I would love to run if we get an opportunity to really blow the doors off this Super Bowl. Like, I love the idea of him coming to his head coach and him coming to his offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and saying, hey, this is what I like here. Especially this one right here. This one could be the dagger, the real dagger. And sure enough, they ended up calling it to Devontae Smith. I love that for Jalen Hurts. And for a guy who is facing off against a coach that is famous on the sidelines now for that playoff clip, 5 years ago, of him saying, yeah, just keep going after him. He can't read it. He can't read it. Well, Jalen Hurts is a much different quarterback now. And that's a testament to his hard work and overall talent, by the way. So I got the Eagles 31-24. They win this game over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Your Philadelphia Phillies, in case you didn't hear this one yesterday, after Kyle Schwarber hit 2 home runs in the game, this was 2 days ago, he said the thing that I think we're all thinking when it comes to this Phillies team before the playoffs.
On the day-to-day for me. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know that it's been a successful season, not just for me, but for a lot of guys in the clubhouse, and for our team in general. Just, back-to-back NL East champions, going to the playoffs again. We just got to buy, being one of the top 2 teams in the National League. So there's a lot to be proud of, and we're not done yet. We got to push, keep pushing, and you just don't want to be remembered for regular seasons. You want to be remembered for special things down the road. So we know that the postseason's a wild animal, and that there's a lot of different things that we need to do to walk away with a win at the end of the day. So we're excited for it. We just want to get there and push towards the end and get ready for that postseason.
Not about the regular season. It's about the postseason. Don't want to be remembered for things during the regular season. You want to remember for things down the road, meaning the World Series. Look, the Phillies are obviously in a spot now where they are well aware of the expectations from the fan base. This isn't we had a really great regular season. Good job, you guys. First round bye. Yay. No, if anything, people are going to hate the first round bye because, they're playing good and then they stopped. Well, maybe, JT Realmuto needs some time off. Maybe Trey Turner, who is doing everything at 100% except full speed ahead running because, still a little timid on blowing anything out. He's got a little bit more than a week now to rest and recuperate and get better. But you have a team right now that is well aware of the circumstance that they're in, which is this is what we've all been waiting for. We wanted to see the Phillies have a good regular season. They had a great regular season. First round bye, great regular season. But it's all going to be about whether or not they're going to disappoint us in the playoffs, whether or not our fears will come to fruition again about this defense, or this offense all of a sudden just coming up bone dry. And with how they've hit with runners in scoring position over the last handful of games, including last night, 0 for 10, that has a lot of people concerned. The 8 home run night, the franchise record right before the playoffs, 5 games before the playoffs, that should have people be like, yay! But it's like, no, that's what they do. They score runs off home runs, and then that's it. Well, yeah, that's unfortunately exactly what they do. You guys have heard me say this a billion times, but you're talking about 5 home runs in a World Series game and then no hit the next game. You're talking about 10 runs in the NLCS against the Diamondbacks and then barely squeaking out runs from that point on. It's pretty scary. That's why we have trust issues. That's why we have trust issues when it comes to your Philadelphia Phillies. But at least Kyle Schwarber gets it. By the way, no home runs last night, obviously, for Kyle Schwarber. It was a 1-0 game. I referenced it earlier. Harrison Bader scored the only run on a bouncer up the third base line off the bat of Alec Boehm, the only RBI, the only run of the game. Phillies had a lot of situations there where they had, I mentioned that 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but Phillies had an opportunity there with 2 base runners on and 1 out in the first inning. They were able to get 1 run. They go down 1-2-3 in the second, 1-2-3 in the third. They get 2 outs, 1 out base runner. Then they end up getting back-to-back base knocks with 1 out. Alec Boehm, Brandon Marsh, first and second, 1 out. Realmuto goes down. Kepler goes down. Don't get anything after that. Leadoff base knock by Bryson Stott last night in the 5th inning. Nothing after that. They actually had a first and third with 2 outs. Got nothing. Bryce Harper swung over top of curveball. Went from a 3-0 count where he got an absolute cookie of a fastball over the middle of the plate. Took it, ended up striking out. Phillies then really didn't get much going after that. 7th inning, they got a leadoff base runner again by Bryson Stott on a single. Nothing. 1 out base runner with Alec Boehm getting a single in the 8th inning. Nothing after that. So yeah, give me a little confidence going into the postseason when it comes to the lineup. And also, JT Realmuto, can he just not play, please, in this Twin Series? That man is very much on the struggle bus for the Phils. Also, the save last night went to David Robertson. Joan Duran warmed up before the hour and minute rain delay. And then after that, they said, we don't want him to warm up again. That'll be that. And David Robertson came in, did a fine job. So that's the way that one worked out. By the way, JT, I want to make sure I have these numbers right because I referenced them the other day. 250 he hit in August. And then right now, JT Realmuto, I believe in the month of September, is batting close to the Mendoza line. And after he was red hot in June and July, 293 in June, 354 in July. August, he hit 250. So far in September, 65 at bats. He is batting an even 200. Not ideal right before the postseason. So, yeah, you want to give JT Realmuto a wee bit of a break? Give JT Realmuto a wee bit of a break, please, and thank you. Sixers, media day today. For those Locked On 76ers fans, Locked On 76ers YouTube channel, first off, like and subscribe. Keith Pompey and I breaking it down every day for 30 minutes on your Philadelphia 76ers. Jared McCain, a UCL tear in his thumb, 4 to 6 weeks, most likely. Guy can't catch a break. And yes, I did find his workout video hilarious, but it is what it is. They were breaking his chops because busting his stones because in the Iverson era black jersey photo shoot, he's sitting at a weight bench, and behind him there's like, I don't even know, like maybe 40 pounds on the bar, and that's being generous. And then so he posted a video mockingly of him lifting really small weights, which I thought was hysterical. And but yeah, apparently during a workout he tore his UCL in his thumb. And generally speaking, that's a 4 to 6 week injury. Poor guy. You know who that helps though? Quentin Grimes, who the 76ers offered a 4-year, $39 million deal to, according to the Inquirer. He's at 8.7 on the qualifying offer, so they give him a slight raise, I guess. That's the perfect deal for him. He's going to hold out. This helps him. The idea that the Sixers aren't going to have Jared McCain, and maybe the Sixers are thinking, okay, McCain might be really injury prone here. We're talking about MCL last year. We're talking about UCL in his hand this year. All right, Grimes. All right, we'll go $3 million more per year. But I never thought. I mean, the $25 million was always a joke. Jonathan Kuminga still not being signed doesn't help his scenario. And the report's already out there that the Sixers just gave him an offer 2 days ago, which is ludicrous. And he's not going to Abu Dhabi. He's not joining team activities. I am not going to allow Quentin Grimes to hold this whole thing hostage. And look, do I want him on the team? I absolutely want him on the team, but he's not worth holding your offseason hostage for. Now, I'm not just blaming him. Daryl Morey, I mean, can we have a little bit of a better plan going into the offseason? Because if you didn't prioritize Quentin Grimes, then could we have prioritized Gershon Yabusele a little bit, as you still don't have a power forward or a 4? Power forwards really don't exist anymore, but a 4? Ludicrous to me. Ludicrous. So there you go. Let's tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Game Time app has you covered. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. Let's get into the chat check, see how wonderful people are doing. Tate, hello. Normal time. I know we actually started a little bit before 6 today. Yeah, that's right. Yes, I do have a Fox hit. Sean Kilrain, hello. Zach Baun, the only NFL player with 150 combo tackles, 12 plus tackles for loss, 2 interceptions since 2024. How about that? Jalen Hurts has a 124 passer rating in the fourth quarter over the last 17 games, third longest win streak in the NFL history for a quarterback in games started and finished. All he does is win, win, win. You're welcome. Minnesota Twins have Mick Abel listed Saturday starter. That ought to be fun. Hopefully he'll walk like 8 guys. Baker Mayfield through the first 3 games, 615 yards, 0 interceptions, 6 touchdowns, 99.5 passer rating. Right. What's going on? 0500 Central Time. Yeah, wake up there, Central Timers. Jason A., hello. Quez Watkins is new kick returner? I hope not. Oh, by the way, Xavier Gibson was at practice yesterday, so look forward to seeing him in this game. Tate Jeffries, Undertaker entrance, chef's kiss. There you go. Walker Buehler has been a sight for sore eyes for the Phillies, certainly. Does not sound good for Baum. Oh, geez. Zach Baun. Honestly. I agree. The idea that he was like limited to practice, the idea that he said he feels good, but we'll see for Sunday, just don't like it. Don't like it. By the way, I do think he's playing. I just hope he's something close to 100%. Todd Bowles used to be a coach in Philly. That is correct. He took over for Juan Castillo, I believe, is the lineage there. Overwhelmed management series. That's funny. How true is it that even though the Eagles are 1-4, Jalen against the Bucs in all 4 losses, AJ didn't play? I think that is true. Devontae, yeah, but I don't think he pushed off egregiously. I think he's making that play either way. Finito means finished in Italian. Thank you, DJ. I think most people know that. Sean Gillespie, early show today. I know, right? Sean Gillespie, hopefully Eagles coaches, management are open to change. Yeah, Jalen Hurts running it. Sean Kilrain, I had same injury in my junior year like McCain and chip in my thumb playing chip in your thumb playing not fun. That doesn't seem like it'd be fun. What makes us advanced creatures is our opposable thumbs. Eagles fan, good morning. T-Bro, before normal time, I don't believe you. I get right, dealer time. I was off the dealing. No, I have no deals today. Danny, what's going on? Good morning. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. I'll be back with you guys later today. We're going to do a later episode of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey and I after that thing that we do after the media day for the 76ers today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening again. Eagles win this game 31-24 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and improve to 4-0 on the season. Thanks, everyone. Catch you guys Monday and Sunday, of course, on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel, where Derek Gunn, Seth Joyner, and I will be breaking it all down. And Bailey Livesey in pre and post game as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys on Monday.